How's it going, guys? It's WTS Weather here, and today I'm bringing you guys an update on Tropical Storm Ernesto churning out in the Atlantic. And before we get into this video, I do want to apologize for the late upload today. I was really trying to get an upload out earlier, but it just didn't happen. So here we are. It's around 8 o'clock when I'm recording this video. So let's just get straight into it with Ernesto. So right now Ernesto is a little bit off from the Caribbean, but if you guys can tell, it is moving extremely fast. It's soaring. I'll say it's soaring westward right now across the screen. So there's not really one defined center at the moment. It's not very defined, and right now it's very spotty convection. And what that means is that there's a lot of dry air infiltrating Ernesto. But over the past hour or so, we are seeing some of this banding increasing. We are seeing some convection increasing. And overall, tomorrow it should be looking a little bit better, as eventually I do think this dry air is going to be pushed out of the system. I think it should be allowed to strengthen. Right now, Ernesto is at around 40 mile an hour winds. It's moving west at 28 miles an hour, which is extremely fast. You're going to see on Wednesday morning, it's going to be out of here already. It's already going to be in the open Atlantic Wednesday morning. Yeah, so this thing is moving very, very quickly, and that's a really good thing because it doesn't have any time to strengthen before it hits the Caribbean. So here's rainfall over the next 2 or 3 days from Ernesto. We see a large swath of 1 to 2 inches of rain, majority of the Eastern Caribbean. And then again, there's a big area, these darker green areas, we're seeing 2 to 4 inches of rain. And once we get into those yellows, we're seeing 4 to 6. The NHC is forecasting that there could potentially be 6+ inches of rain in some of these areas like Guadalupe, Antigua, Dominica. And we move into Puerto Rico, and majority of Puerto Rico is seeing 4 to 6 inches of rain, and there is a large area that's going to be ending up with 6 to 8 and maybe even more. Wherever those heavier bands of rain set up, we will be seeing more than 8 inches of rain in some areas. Here's our storm surge forecast. I do think we're going to end up on the higher end of this forecast. It's going to make beaches uninhabitable for a couple hours throughout the day. So again, when the storm is within the vicinity, and when there is storm surge happening, do not go on the beach. Here's our storm force wind speed probabilities from the NHC, and we now see these probabilities are only going to continue to increase. So at this point in time, we are seeing a large area in the Caribbean with 50 to 60% chance of winds. Puerto Rico, the northeast end of Puerto Rico, the northern northeast end has the greatest chance of tropical storm force winds as Ernesto moves on out. And we see Dominican Republic has a very slight chance to storm force winds. I wouldn't really be expecting it. And we move over to hurricane force winds. Bermuda, again, 10 to 20% chance. We really are going to need to pay attention to the system, and we will be providing updates on Bermuda over the next couple of days because it does appear that a potentially strong hurricane will be making its way over to Bermuda. A lot of the models do forecast a somewhat weak tropical storm moving its way through Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. A couple of days ago, we were taking a look at potentially maybe a landfall in Dominican Republic. However, we are dodging a bullet here, and overall, I think the Caribbean is dodging a bullet with this one. The storm is much weaker than anticipated. It's not really tapping into those warm waters until it gets north of the Caribbean, and we should really only be dealing with weak to moderate tropical storm in the Caribbean, which is much less than what we were expecting just a couple of days ago, thankfully. And here again, guys, we have Bermuda. It's kind of hard to make up. We have Bermuda in the center of all this model madness up here, and yeah, it's right now Bermuda's in the dead center of the cone. This is going to be a very large system, and I'm going to show you guys just how large the system is going to get over the next couple of days. So here we are with our storm. I'm taking a look at the GFS model now. So our storm Ernesto is currently out here. We see large swaths of rain. That's really what's going to be going on in this Eastern Caribbean. There's going to be large swaths of rain. Wherever these bands of rain start to set up is where we're going to see the heaviest rain fall. And here we're now moving into Tuesday. We see a potential tropical storm. It's tightening. It's getting more condensed. The banding is getting more well defined. This is Tuesday morning, and it's approaching Puerto Rico. We start to see rain start to fall in Puerto Rico, and yeah, you guys see some showers that could potentially drop some heavy amounts of rainfall over this northeastern Caribbean area. And again, wherever those bands of rain set up, we are going to be seeing the heaviest rainfall. And here now, this is overnight on Tuesday. We are seeing a landfall in Puerto Rico from the GFS model, 996 tropical storm. This is one of the more bullish models, I'll say, with Ernesto. And again, you see some very, very heavy rainfall as Ernesto moves through. Some very heavy rainfall enveloping the island of Puerto Rico. So that's really, again, what we're going to be focusing on with this system. It's not so much a wind threat, it's more so a rainfall threat for the Caribbean at this point in time. And now Wednesday morning, it should be out of there. It should make landfall sometime overnight Tuesday, and in the morning it'll be gone. You guys will just be dealing with some rainfall in the morning, and conditions should start to get better late Wednesday as the system really pulls away. Now we're overnight and into Thursday, and again, once the system gets into open waters, it is going to take off. We see how quickly it just explodes. Wednesday in the morning, it's a 993 millibar, most likely tropical storm, and then it's a strong hurricane the next day, already 981 here on Thursday morning. And now what we're taking a look at is a 968 millibar hurricane. We have Bermuda up here. Now we're taking a look at a threat towards Bermuda. We're now on Friday here, and a 966 millibar hurricane. You see just how large it is. The amount of rain right now that's being just absolutely dumped on Bermuda. Again, rainfall is going to be a big concern for Bermuda. Landfalls in Bermuda are very unlikely. However, rainfall is going to be a big concern regardless of a landfall. And just look how big this system is. It's 962 millibars, and it's most likely going to be bigger than this, than what's being forecasted, because we are going to see some jet interaction and a potential eye wall replacement cycle, which I will show you guys in just a moment here. But again, it's going to be a very, very large system, so regardless, Bermuda is going to be feeling it from this storm. Luckily, the GFS does kind of show Ernesto working its way around Bermuda, which, if this is the trend, this is something that we really want to take a look at here and really hope that this happens, that Ernesto curves or dodges Bermuda like in any which way. So now we're look at the HWRF model. I didn't want to put an entire I just brought a GIF up because I didn't want to get too far in depth with this model, because this model is a little crazy, guys. All right. So here we are working with Ernesto here, and we're moving through Puerto Rico as a hurricane, which again I do not believe is going to be happening. And now we're approaching Bermuda as a 947, most likely major hurricane. And again, this model is really out there. It brings a hurricane to Puerto Rico, strengthens the storm down to a Category 4, and then brings it up to Bermuda as a major hurricane. Guys, this is probably the worst case scenario that I can think of. That's the only reason I showed this model in this video, is because I do believe this is most likely the worst case scenario. Now here we are taking a look at rainfall, and again we're looking at some of these pinks here that start to pop up all throughout the Caribbean. Those are where our areas of 2 to 4 inches are going to be, and it's very spotty. It's not a consistent band of rain that we're going to be seeing until the storm gets stronger. However, Puerto Rico, according to the GFS model, is going to be dealing with over 4 inches of rainfall, up to 6 inches in some areas. We could see over 10 to 12 inches of rainfall in Bermuda if some of these models are correct, which they are going to change, so take it with a grain of salt. I want to take a look at wave and swell impacts, because again, a lot of people are expecting, just because there's no landfall, there's not going to be any impact, right? And that's completely wrong, and that's why I have this part of the model up. I do want to go ahead and disprove that real quick. We see a very wide area. These greens are just already, those are very large waves out in the Atlantic. That large area of just green, some waves approaching 15 to 20 feet, which just off the coast of Puerto Rico on Wednesday, which is it's really not good. As you guys can tell, it's just not good. And again, I'm gonna go ahead and circle Bermuda here, so you guys can go ahead and just understand just what's gonna happen here. And we see Dominican Republic, north coast of Dominican Republic is going to be dealing with some large swells as well. And as the system strengthens, the swells are only going to get even more crazier. We're seeing large waves now on the eastern coast of the United States, up in the Carolinas and Georgia, Florida too. So even though there's not a landfall from starting on Thursday evening, we're gonna start to see some large waves make their way onto the coast of the eastern United States. And now we're looking at Bermuda here, right in the bullseye. Bermuda, I have circled them on the map there, dealing with significant waves, and Bermuda is going to be those beaches are going to be in a whole lot of trouble. And again, we're seeing large waves all along the coast. So coastal flooding is really, really what we're taking a look at here on the United States side of this. Just because this storm's not making landfall in the United States doesn't mean it's not going to impact the U.S. And we're going to see very, very strong waves make their way up into Bermuda. We're talking waves well over 20 feet now in Bermuda, on those Bermuda beaches. And that's simply not what we want to see here if the GFS is correct. And now here we are again, waves well over 20 feet in the Bermuda area, and all along the eastern seaboard we're seeing very, very strong waves all for the next couple of days. And that's something that we're going to be dealing with in the United States. Just because it's not going to be coming that close to the U.S. doesn't mean that the waves aren't going to be significant off the shore. And again, I just want to know, look how large this system is. Again, very, very large. Swells are going to be increased all over the Atlantic if this is correct. Now we're taking a look at some of the sea surface temperatures. I think I might sound like a broken record here, but yeah, these sea surface temperatures are warm. Just off Puerto Rico, they're quite warm in this area, just off Puerto Rico. And again, for the majority of this, or for all of this storm's life, it's going to be dealing with warm sea surface temperatures, no matter which way it goes. If it goes east of Bermuda, there's going to be warm sea surface temperatures. If it goes west of Bermuda, there's going to be warm sea surface temperatures. That's just how it is right now in the Atlantic, and how it's probably going to be for the next couple of years. Okay, so now I want to take a look again at more longer range dynamics and a longer range positioning of the storm. So here's Ernesto right here, just off the coast of Puerto Rico. It's a little tropical storm right now, not too big. Now this is Thursday morning, and now we're in Thursday afternoon, and we start to see what we're seeing now is this trough is swinging down. And it's gonna bring Ernesto out of here and towards Bermuda, according to the GFS. But the GFS does actually have a interesting scenario set up as we move towards the next couple of slides. And again, this system is going to be tapping into this jet stream up here, and what's going to be happening is something called baroclinic strengthening, where it's going to be tapping into the jet stream, using some of that jet stream power. And what that's going to allow the system to do is it's just going to get massive. We're going to see the system get massive, and it's also going to strengthen way more than what it would without the jet stream. And unfortunately, that's going to be the case here, as we're looking at a very strong storm strengthening after it taps into the jet stream, and it's going to be very large too. However, what the GFS shows is very interesting. It shows Ernesto kind of getting stuck in between two troughs here. Here comes another trough that's swinging down, and Ernesto really, what happens is it slows down actually on the GFS as it gets kind of left behind in between two troughs. It starts to slow down, which this is not, again, really not what we want to see for Bermuda. This is slowing down of the storm. And yeah, we see it takes a couple of days for Ernesto really to get out of Bermuda's airspace. And yeah, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at recon. This is the latest recon passing from when I'm making this video. And currently what we're looking at is a very small area of tropical storm force winds. So this thing is just barely a tropical storm, if it even is a tropical storm, because at the moment the recon plane can't find a center right now, and it's really been struggling to find a center. There's multiple planes in the storm right now, and they're both really struggling to find a center. They have confirmed though that there is tropical storm force winds in the storm, so there will be tropical storm force impacts. Regardless of center formation, there will be tropical storm force impacts in the Caribbean. Right now, if you are in the Eastern Caribbean, tropical storm force impacts are imminent, and if your preparations haven't been completed, then they should be rushed to completion as soon as possible. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for today. That's about it. I wanted to keep things a little quick here for you guys. It's late. I know some of you guys are probably ready to go off to sleep. And again, prayers up for everybody out in the Eastern Caribbean right now. They are going to be dealing with some tropical storm force conditions. over the next couple of days. And the forecast is really going to start to shift to Bermuda, unfortunately, as the system exits the Caribbean. And so, yeah, next video I probably will focus a little bit more on Bermuda and on the impacts of Bermuda. Obviously, right now I do want to focus more on the imminent threats in the Eastern Caribbean. And anyways, guys, if you have any more questions about information, I do heavily encourage you to visit the National Hurricane Center. And if you have any comments, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more of this content. And anyways, guys, that's going to do it. I'll see you guys later.